Namaste Gurukulians. Today I am Ankit and we are going to study a new chapter and very interesting chapter, and that chapter name is cell. Okay, so today in this chapter we are going to study about cell and its component and what it is made up of. Okay, so let's start. So very first topic in this chapter, before studying about cell, we first understand some term related to it. So very first is organization. Now, what do you mean by organization? Organization means like when some components or some parts combine together to do some specific function. Okay, that is known as organization. So cells also work in organization, means they combine together and do a specific task, that is known as organization. Okay, so like you can understand the word organization in this way, like suppose in a multi-story building we are having many floors, so each and every floors the person are assigned to do a particular task. Understand? So that is known as organization. You can understand the term organization specifically in a similar way. Suppose in our computer we are having a hard disk. Okay, so hard disk also divided into many parts. Hard disk also divided into many parts. So what happened when the first compartment get filled, then the information entered to second compartment, then into third compartment. So what I'm trying to say, the meaning of organization, or in organization, some people they combine together and collectively they do a particular function, and that is known as organization. Clear, understood, beta? Now, organization, where you see organization in our body and how how this work. Okay, so all the living sorry, all the living organisms are made up of cells. Okay, so first of all, cell is there. Now, when cell combine together, then we will get the tissue. Okay, now when after some tissue they combine together, they form the organ, and when organ combine together, they will form the organ system, right? Organ system, and when organ system combine together, they will make a organism. Organism. Understand the term organization by this way. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, when some cells which are doing the same function, they join together and form a tissue. Now those tissue which are doing the same function, they will form a organ. Okay, so when organ join together, then they will result into the organ system, and different organ system will form the organism. So this is called as organization, where the some organisms or where some parts are doing the similar function. Okay, this is called as organization. Okay, my dear, so you can understand this in such a way. Suppose in our body we are having our stomach, it is made up of what? It is made up of cells. Okay, when cells in our stomach they join together, they will form the tissue in our stomach. Now what happened when all those different tissues, like outer layer of the stomach, inner layer of the stomach made up of different tissue, so when all those tissue they join together, they will result into the organ. Now what is that organ? Organ name is stomach. And when stomach is joined together with some other parts or with some other organs like alimentary canal, intestine, small intestine, large intestine, when all those different organs they join together, then they will result into the organ system. And what is the name of that organ system? Digestive system. Now when different organ system like respiratory system, circulatory system, digestive system, excretory system, when this different organ system they join together, then this will result into an organism like man or a woman. Okay, so in this way the organization can be clearly understood and can be understood. Okay, my dear, now we move on to the next topic. Okay, so next definition is cytology. What is that? Cytology. Okay, so whenever you see the word logy means to study something. Okay, so to study, logy means study of something. Okay, so what is cytology? It is a branch, the branch of science you can say, or the branch of biology, the branch of science in which we study about cells. We study about cells. Okay, my dear. So very interesting to you. Okay. So this is what I want you to understand. One is organization, one is cytology. Okay. Now move on to our main topic. And what is the topic? The topic is called as cell. Okay. The very first, what is cell? Okay. So this word cell arises from the term Latin word named cellula. Okay. And cellula basically means compartments. Cellula stands for compartments. Okay. So all the living organisms, they are made up of the smallest unit, and that smallest unit is called as cell. Okay. So each and every organism it made up of smallest unit, and that smallest unit is known as cell. Clear? So in one word, I would like to explain to you what is cell. Okay, so let's study. Cell is a basic unit of life. What I'm trying to say, that cell is a basic and most important unit of life. Okay. Next, cell is a structural unit of life. Suppose in your house you're making a structure or you're making a design. Suppose I'm talking about this building, or if I talk about your house made up of small thing, and that is known as brick. Understand? In your house, when you're building your house, you put lot of brick together, and all those brick together, joined together, they will result into a building. They will result into either building or either house. Okay. So similarly, what I'm trying to say here, cell is a structural unit of life. Means the structure of a living organisms is made up of cells. Suppose if we talk about my body, mind structure. So mind structure is also made up of cell. Okay. Next is cell is a functional unit of life. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, each cell has certain specific function. Okay. Each and every cell has some important function or specific function to do. So that specific function is, that's why we are calling it as cell is a functional unit of life, because whatever I'm doing, it's not me doing it, it's a cell doing it. Okay. So that's why we are calling it as cell is a functional unit of life, because the functions are arising from the cells. Okay. So that's why we can call it as cell is a basic unit of life, cell is a structural unit of life, or we can call cell is a functional unit of life. And when you combine all this together, you can say cell is a fundamental and most important unit of life. In this way you can say. Okay, my dear. So what I'm saying here, first of all, organization, when different cells combine together form tissue join together to form organ, and organ join together to form organ system, and then result into organisms. Cytology, branch of biology in which we study about cells. Okay. Now after that, cell is a word which arises from the Latin word named cellula, and cellula stands for the compartment. Okay. Now cell is known as basic unit of life, structural unit of life, functional unit of life, and fundamental unit of life. So these are the basic introduction of cell and some terms we need to take. Now we proceed after the next term that how cells was discovered. Okay, I hope this much topic will be very much interesting to you. Okay, so let us proceed to the next topic, and that is discovery of cell. Right? So what we are going to study now, discovery of cell. Right, students? Discovery of cell. Okay. So cell is discovered in 1665. And now very important, who discovered the cell? Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke. Okay. So when the cell is discovered in 1665, and who discovered the cell? Robert Hooke. Okay. So in 1665, Robert Hooke is observing a cord under microscope. Okay, so one day in 1665, Robert Hooke is observing a cock under microscope. So at that time, the microscope was not so much developed as we are having nowadays. At that time, the microscope is the size of a pencil. Okay, it was not so much developed. Some lens are set up, and then by the help of that, Robert Hooke observed a very thin slice of cock under the microscope. So what he observed? He observed some box-like structure. Okay, which are similar to honeycomb structure. Okay, so what happened in 1665? Robert Hooke observed a thin slice of cork under the microscope. So what happened when he was observing the thin slice of cork? He find out a small box-like structure. Okay, and which are similar as in the case of honeycomb, where the honeybee live. Okay, honeybee, as we know, honeybee lives in the hive. So hive, small compartments are there. Okay, small compartments are there, and those compartments are separated by the thin line. Okay, so like the similar way, what you can say, in the cord he found these small compartments. Okay, so these compartments he called it as cell. Okay, he called these compartments as cells. So what happens? Cells is discovered in a similar way. Understand? So in this way cell was discovered. And you can also notice that in some countries they call jail, which is a small chamber or a small room which are separated by the one wall, and then next jail is there. So they also call it as cell. So cell is a compartment, okay, which are separated by a small line or a partial, some you can say some boundary, that is referred as cell. Okay. Now move on to the next topic, that is types of cell. Next topic is types of cell. So students, in your class you are going to study different types of cell. Like you can say the cells are divided on the basis of number of cells. Cells are divided on the basis of function. Okay, and cells are also divided sometimes largest and smallest, okay, or you can say size, on the basis of size. So types of cell or the division of cell, okay, can be understood in a similar way, that one classification on the basis of number of cell is divided into how many types. On the basis of function, cell are classified into different shapes. On the basis of size, cells are divided into different categories. So we are going to study about all this, okay, classification. Now let us proceed by the type of cell on the basis of number of cell. Okay, so let us study now. On the basis of number of cells, cell is of two type. One is unicellular, okay, or you can say on the basis of number of cell, organisms is divided into two types. One is unicellular organisms, and another one is multicellular organisms. Unicellular and multicellular organisms. What I say, that on the organisms are of two type on the basis of number of cell, and what is that? Unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So organisms, beta, remember, uni means one, multi or multi means many. Okay, so organisms made up of one cell is called unicellular organisms. Organisms made up of many cells are called multicellular organisms. Okay, now second function. Okay, all the functions are performed by single cell. So what is the meaning of this line? That in our body, like we are doing the excretion, like we are doing the respiration, like we are doing digestion, so there are different parts who are doing different function, different cell are doing the different tasks. But in the case of unicellular organisms, all the function like excretion, digestion, respiration, all are done by the single cell. But in the case of multicellular organisms, different cell perform different tasks. Okay, perform different tasks. Okay, next difference is there. Level of organization. Level of organization is not there. Is not there. Third difference, organization is there. Organization is there. Like organization, we study about what is organization. That cell is made up, cell join together to form tissue join together to form organ form organ system, then organism. But this level of organization is not there in the case of unicellular organism. But organization, this type of organization can be seen in the case of the multicellular organisms. Okay. Fourth difference, if one cell dies, then organism dies. Okay, but if one cell dies, the organism do not die. So what I am trying to say, suppose in our body we are multicellular organism, we are made up of many cells. So in our body, every day many cells die and many new cells are formed. So what happens if one cell die in our body? That does not mean that we whole die. Okay, but in the case of unicellular organisms, if one cell die, then the whole organism die. Okay, but in the case of multicellular, it is not there. Okay, now let us study about the example. Okay, example of the unicellular organisms is amoeba, okay, paramecium are the example of the unicellular organisms, and many more are there which we are going to study. But in the case of example of the multicellular, examples are men, cow, plants. So many examples are there in the case of multicellular organisms. So I hope this much will be enough for you. In our next lecture, it is very interesting chapter, boys. So in our next class, we are going to study about the next topic, okay? And in that part, we will also study about. I will also let you revise all this topic which we have already studied. So class, prepare yourself for the next class, okay? Till then, take care. Namaste.